Hello, what's up? What's up? Welcome back. I am covering a new rank deck. I'm sure you're going to see quite a bit of it on the ladder, but it's very important that I share it also because this is where the meta is, and this is what I do. I try to keep you up to date with what is going on in the meta, what are the best decks in ranked, what decks I can use to hit Master Ball or climb Master Ball to hit top 10k, 5k, 1k, whatever your ranked goals are, got you. So this deck was not my own, but I strongly believe that this is the most powerful Hydreigon deck. Also learned that it's Hydreigon, not Hydreigon, but I'll probably say Hydreigon a few times in this video. What's interesting is we're playing against an Oricorio in the first game. Now, one thing you'll notice throughout this video is how the meta kind of evolved as I was recording. Um, And that's the thing about ranked, right? It's constantly changing. It's always going to be developing. So what's strong yesterday is not going to be strong today. I posted that Crowback deck, right? And it is very, very strong, but I don't think it's the strongest anymore. I think that this might be the strongest, to be honest. It's this and Suicune. That's just the fact of the matter. Until we create a counter deck to this, that can also deal well against Suicune, this is very much likely going to be what you see. And so this is interesting, right? We're playing against an Oricorio. Here's the deck list, by the way. But yeah, before you start jumping off and wanting to play this deck, I want to go over some of the discussions, like some of the things you need to know, and just I guess more or less how the deck functions. But first of all, let's just talk about the spots. We've got the Absol, and you never want to bench your Absol. It's okay to bench it here because we're playing against something that can't bench snipe. And we get to do 80 damage twice to the Magnezone, which is very significant because it does 80 plus 80 is 160. We can take out the Pokemon Sensor Lady. Here I'm just looking to see on the board, like, what do I need to delete? Is it the Cyrus? Yes, it's the Cyrus. But with Indeedee, Hydreigon has just become so busted. And Oricorio can't deal with Hydreigon. So Oricorio is no longer meta relevant. I said it. You heard it here first. Oricorio, you are not going to see Oricorio on the ladder. And if you are playing Oricorio, that is suicide. Because this deck is very popular right now and it absolutely dumps on Oricorio. Here I delete the May because basically the Magnezone wins them the game right now. So if they drew into a Pokeball, they could just May and find. Look, they would have found Magnezone and just retreated out and KO'd me. But here we're safe. They don't have Cyrus in their deck anymore. We've taken it out and we've got the win condition pretty much on the board. We can't actually move up yet to take out their KO. So we actually have to pivot into the other Absol. Because we need a way to be able to take out the Oricorio, so we don't want to lose out by taking the Oricorio now. So we have to pivot out. Oh, and this is quite interesting. I copycatted because I know that they run copycats. So I wanted to make sure that my hand was small, and the best way to do that was to copycat their one card hand so that I had one card. So I thought that was pretty cool. Very, very cheeky. So even if they did draw into copycat, they would actually reduce their hand size. But yeah, they're in kind of a bad situation. And this is the thing with Oricorio now, is that there's no real way to deal with a Hydreigon that can actually hit more than once against the Magnezone. So, I mean, it's not going to take back-to-back hits, if that's not what I'm saying. But being able to hit and then Magnezone come in and hit it and still be able to hit, before that was never the case, because you were doing 30 damage to yourself. But we were able to mitigate that damage because of the diddler. I love that people are calling Indeedee Diddy and the Diddler. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, but I love it. I think it's hilarious. So we go on a very decent win streak, and I'm going to be absolutely honest here. I didn't win every game. This is not that kind of channel where I, carefully try and find winning games. No, dude. Like, what I try to do is bring you decks that work in ranked. But yeah, this is interesting. So, we played against a lot of Decidueye. Decidueye is going to be very, very popular. It's a very good deck to play right now. And what's interesting is we got to see how the Decidueye decks were developing as this deck became more popular. Now, another thing is you're going to start Indeedees, you're going to start Absols, you're going to start badly sometimes, you know. What is cool with this deck is that it's very, very energy efficient in that Hydreigon can obviously supply its own energy. So here we've got the combo in our hand, so we don't need to worry about having energy on the board anywhere. And we want to thin out our hand as much as possible. That's why we putting down the Baby Absol, because we're afraid of their copycat. We cannot reward their copycats at all times. If you're playing against a deck that runs copycat, like, just make sure that you're playing around it by having your hand thin out at any stage of the game. So here we get to showcase the Diddler and Hydreigon. Cape on Hydreigon. You're dealing with a 170 beast that is getting a potion every turn, right? That is essentially only doing 10 damage to itself as opposed to 30 damage to itself. It's so good. Like, Indeedee was the card that this deck, well, that Hydreigon needed. And Cape is just makes so much more sense than Rocky Helmet. We do run a damage amp card. It's Giovanni for a reason, not red. Because red doesn't change many other damage numbers except Giovanni can hit a non-EX for 140. Now, what other non-EXs? Magnezone, but like if a Suicune puts a cape on, red isn't going to one-shot KO it. So between Geo and red, they do the same numbers. That's all I want to say about that. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. That actually comes up in this game, funny enough. So let's just talk about this game. This game, I didn't do much commentary in the last one. I apologize. We've got 2 Hydreigons up. It's not much to commentate on. But the Decidueye wasn't ever going to be able to heal out of that. But this game, we're playing against a Suicune, and typically Suicune is just a horrible matchup. But Hydreigon's biggest problem against the Greninja EX was that Greninja EX could just solo it, and then the Hydreigon would end up KOing himself because it just wasn't able to sustain the 100 damage hits. But now, because of Indeedee, we are able just to survive that Greninja 100 damage hit and still be able to do another follow-up attack. But yeah, anyways, let's get back to the game again. Suicune, very, very popular deck. I played against it a load yesterday, and like, this deck can do well against Suicune. You know, you can win against Suicune. You do kind of have to high roll. The trick is also not to ever bench your Absol. You're just going to lose the game if you do bench Absol, unless it's absolutely necessary. But yeah, we get our Hydreigon, 170 HP beast, and we get to heal that 30 hits with our Diddler, and we get to one-shot KO the Suicune. Look at that. Even if they did commit to their energy to the Suicune, like, they are in such bad shape. Now, is the game over? No ways. It's a Suicune deck. Of course it's not. They can do a lot here, because at the end of the day, like, a Greninja EX can still do a lot of damage to my board and potentially sweep it. But because of Indeedee, we are able just to heal out of it. Alright, but ignore that mistake, because I think I was meant to heal after the 30 ping. But we don't drop Absol, of course, either. That was the other thing I wanted to say. And now this Suicune is on its hind legs. They got the Greninja EX up. It can be pretty bad. They do attach to the other Froakie, and we've got so many cards in our deck that win us this game now. And that being one of them, because we can just retreat out by using our energy and then be able to snipe the bench to KO that Suicune in the back for the win. So the guy conceded. Honorable Sudoku. Alright, so another Suicune game. This time they start Suicune, which is terrible. It's Suicune is bad when they start Suicune. It's winnable if they go first and they start Froakie. Now, that also being said, I've noticed how a lot of Suicune players make so many mistakes, man. Like, let me know if you would like me to cover Suicune and actually go over some of, I think, the strategies, some tips, some decisions that I think a lot of people don't typically make or don't consider when playing Suicune. That doesn't happen in this game, but I've just noticed that people just be playing Suicune and they don't really know how to. They play it and they win, right? Because it's Suicune, but I don't think they play perfectly. So here, right, we drop the Absol because we don't have much of a decision. Next turn, the Absol in the front is getting KO'd, and we don't want to lose our Dino, so we put the energy on the Absol so that next turn we can retreat it out and potentially evolve Rare Candy, but they get the Greninja up and they start pinging. Guess where? Bing! Yep. On our Absol, guess what? Yep. Cyrus. I'm just going, oh no, what have I done? I don't think it was a mistake, but it certainly has not worked out for us. Still looking for that rare candy to save us. I don't know from what. I think this game is pretty much over. But yeah. Stuck here, not really knowing what to do. I guess we can pivot out and attack the other Suicune and try to play for a Cyrus. Somehow. It's very it's a copium line, as they call it. And yeah, this Absol is just the primary target right now. And guess what? Guess what, guys? Yeah, I was ready for it. I was ready. They always have the Cyrus, and they're going to just hammer your Absol when they see it. So don't play your Absol down in the Suicune match unless it's absolutely necessary. So here, we're playing against another Decidueye. The meta was evolving, and again, like, I'm gonna just press this home. The meta is going to constantly evolve, and this is why it's important to have your finger on the pulse with regards to ranked. Have your ear to the ground. So that's why you should subscribe. Hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I upload, and you can be like, oh, Mr. Regular uploaded. Now I know what deck to play for the day, you know? But yeah, this is an annoying Chingling deck. Ching-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, ching-a-ling-a-ling. And it's a Decidueye, and what they're doing is they are countering the Dinos trying to evolve into the Hydreigons by putting a Chingling in. And I don't know what I think about it. I don't know what the win rates are like, but I know that we beat most of them. Now, if it was because we were high rolling, I don't know. But here, we can mitigate any of that damage by using Indeedee, the Diddler, and we just continuously go for our hits. Now, if they manage to get Decidueye, we are in all sorts of trouble. Like, it doesn't really matter what Decidueye it is, but yeah, luckily they don't find the rare candy. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of Decidueyes, and I'm very curious to see how that kind of fans out. I mean, I might be a good deck to play because I don't know if Decidueye actually does well into this deck. I don't think it does because I beat most of the Decidueyes. Like, spoiler alert, we beat this deck. It's not easy, but and I think they make a giant mistake. But like here, like they can just systematically start KOing everything on our board, really. But I don't think it's good enough to beat this deck. But it does okay into Suicunes. 70 damage sometimes isn't enough when there's capes on the Froakie. So here, right, we put down energy on the Absol. We do a Hail Mary to try and find our Candy and our Hydreigon, like the exact combination that we need. And because of the prize mapping, we need to start putting damage on the board. Like the only way we know how, and that is through Dino. We have to give up on the Candy idea, to heal through it. And here comes the big mistake. Guess what they do? They attack the active. Big mistake. Can you guess what the right move was? It was to attack the Indeedee that turn. Because next turn you just KO it, right? And there's nothing that can KO you right here. But now I can take out the healing cards and I can do 1880, which is 160. Very similar to the Magnezone right in the beginning of the video. So they are GG's. They donezos. They made a mistake. And yeah, man. So that's what I have for you guys. Enjoy the deck. Let me know how it goes. Remember about our competition, our giveaway. And thanks for watching. Really appreciate all the comments. And remember, stay tuned. We're going to keep you posted with what decks. The Hydreigon. Anyways, thanks, guys. Cheers.